right, so a couple of days ago, the internet, I won't say it broke, but it was up in arms about a huge controversial segment on Piers Morgan, who brought on Jaguar Wright.
I think people think throwing the word allegedly out there protects you from certain things. But just because someone has a platform, I think broadcasters and certain journalists and people are put on certain shows and just platformed a little bit differently than these people who are just on YouTube or whatever for a reason. And there's a responsibility.
Well, you
got
to do your due diligence, and his team should have did the due diligence. And a lot of times people do slip through the cracks. There's things that you don't see and don't find out until later on. But I mean, when people are making claims like the way people are making claims, you have to do your due diligence to make sure that if you're having that person on your platform, which is a huge platform, that you're putting out the proper and correct news.
Well, the problem is people don't understand platforms, and I'm putting platforms in parentheses. But when you get on an actual network, when you get on a TV station or the radio, when you get on a platform that is attached to a larger corporation, now that corporation is liable for the things that are being said on their platform. Right. And now it makes sense for your lawyer to intervene and potentially sue because there is something to gain. Right. There's nothing to gain from suing Joe Blow on YouTube that's just running his mouth.
True.
You know what I mean? And that's what most people don't understand. A lot of these people that do these claims and do these accusations and do these things on that platform don't have anything. It'll cost you more money to sue them than they actually own. Now, it might look like they have this and have that, but most of that stuff is all false. They don't own half the stuff that they say. They don't have cars. They don't have bank accounts. They don't have homes. So it's half the time it don't make any sense suing those people.
Well, let me tell you who got the money to see if they, like, even if it don't make sense, a Jay-Z and a Beyonce. Those are, like, I think that's another thing too, is like, you got to understand that there's levels to this, like who you're dealing with. Like, and people will defend their names because that is their business. That is how they make their money.
But think about how much stuff Jay-Z and Beyonce ignore. Yeah. Right. The reason they didn't ignore it this time is because of the platform it was set on.
100%.
It was set on a platform that they can actually sue, a platform that is actually liable. Yep. And I see people say things all the time like, well, if the person is lying, why don't they get sued? Because suing a brokey costs you money.
Yes.
Suing somebody who don't have anything to lose is a waste of your time and resources.
Your money and your resources
Big Lotto.
and your time.
I'm just saying, it don't matter unless you just,
The thing about platforms, the reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited her on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Well, Jaguar Wright unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. But, like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theatre, there are legal limits on us too. And we apologise to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Now, for a lot of people, that was surprising in itself, because why in the world was somebody like Piers Morgan, right? Not saying that he is somebody that should be celebrated or even catered to, but however, it goes without saying that he is very notable in the media world, right? Now, why was it surprising that somebody like Jaguar Wright was on Piers Morgan? Well, because Piers Morgan, you would think, is somebody that generally has a good handle, and his team has a good handle on who to bring onto his show, who you should give a platform to, and what they're going to speak about, and whether or not it's a good idea to allow them to speak freely in front of the world. Well, Jaguar Wright went on there and she started running off at the mouth, as she typically does, right? Now, I'm fully aware that some of the things that Jaguar Wright has said has come to light as being true. But does that mean that, let me ask y'all a question. Does that mean that everything that Jaguar Wright says out her mouth you should believe? Because some things she said came true, some things she said was true. Does that by default make that person a truth teller? By default, does that make that person honest with everything that they say? Cat Williams said a lot of true things at the beginning of this year. Does that mean that you should absolutely trust everything 100% that Cat Williams says? Absolutely not. If it's me, no. Bro, I don't believe that you can run a 4-4. You prove that you can't run a 4-4. You prove that you can't do that. He said he read 10,000 books in like 3 months or some bullshit like that. Dog, come on. Okay, listen, you got to learn how, as my mom would say, you got to learn how to chew the meat, spit out the bone. Chew the meat, spit out the bone. So you have to, if the smart people pick and choose, they're very selective about what they believe and how much truth is in what people say. But when you have sensational people like Jaguar Wright, who has been on every platform that will have her over the past couple, especially since this Diddy thing blew up, now she's fucking everywhere. She getting them checks. She collecting every check that she can get because people will listen to her. Why? Because she was a part of the music industry long ago. Oh shit. She sung at Jay-Z's at one of Jay-Z's events. She gotta know what's going on the inside. Is what I've been told. Now a couple days ago, me and my homie, we had a discussion about this, about Jaguar Wright, because I posed a question to the group chat, like, who the hell is still listening to Jaguar Wright? And he said, well, I do. He said, I believe a lot of shit that she said. And so we took the discussion a little bit deeper and we started getting into it. And one of the questions that he asked me was like, well, if Jaguar Wright is so wrong, and she's and all the shit that she's been saying about celebrities and these powerful people, why has no one said anything? And at the time I told him, I said, well, nobody said anything because who gives a shit about what platform she's on with? Who gives a shit about Jaguar Wright talking to a podcaster who has 30,000 fans or 30,000 followers? Who gives a shit about a podcaster, this guy over here who's only visible amongst a couple 100,000 people? But now that you've made it to national television and Piers Morgan, I have to say something. I have to say something. And he responded, he's like, well, the only reason they saying something now, the only reason they sent lawyers after Piers Morgan is because she made it to Piers Morgan. First of all, I'm shocked that Piers Morgan had this interview. And the reason I'm shocked is because I thought Piers Morgan was smarter than this. I thought he was smarter than allow her to get up on that platform and run her mouth the way she did. I would have shut that shit down immediately. Hey, cut this shit. What we doing here? You're not about to put my platform at jeopardy. See, I don't think we understand that when we start running off at the mouth, this is not me talking about EYL. Me talking about EYL, Earn Your Leisure, and Jaguar Wright getting up on a national stage and talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce and trying to pin a murder on them is completely different. This woman got up there and said that Jay-Z and his wife had something to do with Aaliyah's death. This is serious shit we talking about. These are serious allegations. And what I told my homie was, listen, they're basically saying, my estimation of it was, either shut the fuck up or prove it. It's one or the other. You can't sit up here and continue to run your mouth, talking all crazy about me and my wife, who have reached billionaire status. You can't continue to sit up here and go on these platforms and run your mouth in front of the world and me not do nothing about it. No. That's not how it's going to go. What's going to happen is I'm going to learn you, and I'm going to learn your ass the hard way. You're going to find out today who you really fucking with. See, it's different when you talking about, when Tasha K was going off on Cardi B and running her mouth, and doing video after video and bringing on people to talk about Cardi B, and she was running her name through the mud and talking all this cash shit about her. What ended up happening? Cardi B sent the people. She said, I got you. You want to play with me? I'm going to show you how I play. I'm going to show you how big money play. Big bank take little bank. I'm going to show you how big bank play. You ain't got enough money. You ain't made enough money to deal with the people that I'm going to send after you. And that's exactly what happened. Tasha K had to shut the fuck up. Tasha K had to shut the hell up. And it's the same thing with Jaguar Wright. Either you going to prove it, because I'm not saying she's wrong. I want to be very clear here before we get into this. I want to be very, very clear. I'm not saying whether Jaguar Wright is wrong or right. I don't know. I do not have I have no idea whether she's telling the truth about Jay-Z and Beyonce or not. I don't know that. I don't have the ability to know that. I don't know what she knows or doesn't know for that matter. What I do know is that it's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. That's what I do know. That's what I do know. So when we send them cease and desist to every platform that you go on from here on out, because you done fucked up your money now by going on Piers Morgan. So when we had to send the lawyers after Piers Morgan and shut him down, and now you got to shut the fuck up, and now Piers Morgan got to go on national television and apologize for airing that shit, and he has to go and apologize on his platform. Well, now who's going to take you? What huge media platform is going to take Jaguar Wright next? Where the check's going to come from now? See, now you sticking your own foot in your mouth. But let's get into it. Let's see what she said, because there's some interesting things that I found from some very different perspectives that I found on this so far. And we're just going to go over and talk about it. So, as a reminder of what was said, I'm just going to play a small segment of that interview to give you an idea. For those who have not seen it, been living under a rock, you haven't seen it, Jaguar Wright was up here saying some defamatory shit. And she was up here running amok on the national stage. She throwing out all kinds of baseless claims. But you ain't got to believe me. Let's watch.
For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself.
Where
I
they
have
at?
3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim
Keeping people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane. Unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about. Piers.
Listen, like I said, Jay-Z and Beyonce are not here, unfortunately, to respond to that.
I know. I'm just being honest with you.
No, you're perfectly entitled to your views, obviously. Kim Porter, a new book claims that Diddy may have been involved.
Yeah, that was Piers Morgan trying to do damage control in the moment. But by that time, it was far too late. That was Piers Morgan, him saying you're definitely entitled to your views and your opinions. That was him trying to do damage control. For those that don't know, that was his way of trying to PR through the situation. But no. It's way too late. You have harbored asylum on your platform, and now you must pay. That's what that is. But listen, I got a clip from Rory Amal. I don't know. This is probably going to get flagged on YouTube. So what will happen is I'll just probably have to put a still image over this. But I wanted you all to hear what they had to say, because this was a little hilarious to me.
Speaking of something my mom would do, here's something my mom wouldn't do. Go on a tour and just create stories like Jaguar Wright. Listen, man.
It's a crazy segue to go from.
Because I'm just here today to just address. I get it. I know the times we're in. A lot of things are being revealed. A lot of nasty things. A lot of nasty people. And if anybody is guilty of any of these things that are being alleged, they should be held accountable to the highest degree. Let's start there. But at some point, we got to just stop opening up platforms and cameras and microphones for people to just spew things that just have not been anywhere near remotely true. Mm-hmm. That's my only problem with Jaguar Wright. Now I get it. She's created this lane, and the National Enquirer, we always talk about it. It's been selling since I was a kid. So we know that there's people that eat this type of shit up, want to hear these type of salacious stories and outlandish, times. And my thing is, how does Jaguar Wright where was Jaguar Wright when all this was going down? How come she has all this information on all these?
She was at the parties.
No, but she said she wasn't.
She said she was.
At what parties, bro?
Diddy's. She said, I've seen it firsthand account with my own eyes. And then she said, I also know women that are in the industry that also work hidden cameras and were filming things.
She also said she rescued 3 girls from Epstein Island. I'm like, yo, when did Jaguar Wright get a boat?
A strong swimmer.
Well, I can see that. I can see her being a very good swimmer.
So when I did watch this Jaguar Wright on Piers Morgan, and not to say Piers Morgan is anyone that we need to look up to or that he is the end all be all of news. And I always thought news was full of shit regardless, but they would be talking about issues I didn't know much about and bring on analysts and authors and people way smarter than me. I wouldn't like really take their word for it, but I would also think this person clearly has studied this topic and understands it. They had to have vet them in some degree. But ever since this Diddy thing, the people that they are bringing on to discuss the hip hop world makes me think they've never vetted anyone on any subject ever.
No.
Why is Jaguar Wright doing a one-on-one with Piers Morgan? Like, it was cool with her YouTube stuff when she was doing her conspiracies for the last 10 years. And to her credit, some of the shit she said was right. But to a lot of people, that was common knowledge when it came to the Puff shit. Why is she on Piers Morgan talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce putting children in suitcases and throwing them in the alley? Why is this allowed on Piers Morgan? And again, not to say Piers is that guy,
Right.
Or has any like integrity where like we know if they go on Piers, we're gonna get the truth.
Yeah.
But why? No one vetted this at
I don't
all.
know, man. I don't know.
What was their source? YouTube? Trust me, bro.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
well, we know how
trust
these
me,
things
bro.
go when because when the Puff shit happened months ago with Cassie, we got some calls from some networks and people that wanted to interview us, and we said absolutely not. So now that obviously Puff is going to court, the charges have been presented. There's the floodgate of media outlets opening up to anybody that's willing to come on from our culture that have been maybe even at a show that Puff had that may have a story. They're opening up their platforms for people to come and talk. And like you said, Jaguar Wright has been one of the more vocal voices over the year as far as this type of stuff going on in the industry. And like you said, some of the things she speaks about has been proven and came to light as true.
I feel like if she was talking about anyone outside of hip hop, this network would have vetted this way more.
Of course.
Like,
of course.
they really were just like, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
And threw her on live TV.
They're looking at her like, she has to know.
Like, listen, I love Heart of the City.
Yeah.
That's not a fact.
She's saying Jay-Z's Unplugged set on MTV. She has to know. She has to know what's going on. And that's the thing that I'm just like, it's a such thing as too far and too much. That's all. And again, if she's right about anything she's saying and anybody she's talking about, then they should be held accountable to the highest degree. Throw them the fuck away. If any of these things are true about any of these people, throw them away.
And I absolutely agree. If it comes out that it's true, then do what you must. Do what you will with a Jay-Z or a Beyonce. If it comes out that it's true, because again, I'm not saying whether she's lying, I don't know. But to make these kind of claims, you got to follow that up with something. Which is what I was telling my homie. You can't come on national television on a Piers Morgan show. It's cool when you say it in your backyard or in the basement somewhere. That's fine. You can talk to YouTube all day long if you want to, till you fucking blue in the face. We don't care about that. But when you get to national media attention, now I gotta say something. I gotta put my foot in your ass and remind you about the cost of running your mouth. There's a cost associated with this at this level. Just like nobody believe one of the things that I pointed out was that Cassie didn't reveal anything about Diddy that we didn't already know, right? Until the tape came out. Listen, Cassie has been saying that Diddy is a piece of shit for years. Before the actual video, it wasn't until the video evidence hit the market, hit the scene, hit the media, then everybody was like, oh, okay. Now we riding with you. And Cassie is bigger than Jaguar Wright. Cassie is more known and noticeable and known throughout media and the industry than Jaguar Wright is. But the reason nobody cared what Cassie was talking about, because it's not about what you know, it's about what you can fucking prove. And if you can't prove shit, then the message is shut the fuck up. You cannot come on here and just run your mouth about me and my wife and then accuse us of having something to do with Aaliyah, who was beloved by the world, her death. No, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And by the way, there's other people who love Aaliyah too. Yet you don't see them saying shit. You don't see Missy saying nothing. You don't see Timbaland, who was also close to Aaliyah, saying nothing. Because they understand this game. Y'all don't. You a civilian playing celebrity games. Stop before it gets way worse than whatever it is. Because if it was me and I got enough money to make your life a living hell, guess what I'm going to do? From the moment you wake up, oh, it's on. It's over. It's over for you. If it was me and I got the money to make, you will never work in the city again. You will not find peasant work. You will have to live off grid if it was me. Why? Because you can't play with my name. My name is my business. What are you talking about? What are we talking about here? I'm a billionaire. I got multiple. I'm not pulling out of none of my businesses. Ain't nobody taking my name off shit. I got contracts with the NFL. Absolutely. What are we talking about here? Yes, I gotta say something. My name is my business. My name is my worth. My name is my money. My name is my name, as Marlo would say. From shout out to The Wire. But the point here is, y'all can't you can't say whatever you want to say on a national stage and get away with it and think your shit's gonna be sweet. No. Jaguar Wright got a lot to learn. And she's too old not to know it, especially she's been a part of the music industry and she's been close and intertwined with all these things for these many years as she says she has. And you should have known better. You should have known better. But they gonna learn you. They gonna learn you. Now, whether what she has to say was right or wrong, she says she's got proof. So I guess now we play the waiting game. But listen, y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, and I'll see y'all in the next one.